Hey warriors, nobody is coming to give you your life back. The years that passed while you were waiting to feel ready are gone. The opportunities that existed in the seasons you spent on comfort instead of growth are gone. The mornings you handed to distraction instead of direction are gone. The conversations you kept postponing, the work you kept meaning to start properly, the version of yourself you kept planning to become when the timing was finally right. All of those seasons passed, and the timing never became right on its own. Because timing does not become right on its own. It becomes right when you decide it is right, when you stop waiting for a signal from the outside that it is finally time to begin, and you give yourself that signal from the inside, right now, with what you have, in the circumstances that actually exist, rather than the perfect circumstances that were never going to arrive. But here is what is important. The version of yourself that could have been built in the time that was spent on things that did not matter is not gone. It is waiting, still available, still entirely possible, still on the other side of a decision you have not yet made but can make right now. The decision to stop treating time as something you have plenty of. The decision to stop borrowing from the future to pay for comfort in the present. The decision to look honestly at what is happening with the hours and to change what happens with the hours that are still coming. The Stoics were not gentle about this. They were honest, brutally, uncomfortably, permanently honest. And their honesty, as hard as it sometimes lands, is the most genuinely useful thing that can be offered to a person who is spending the one resource they cannot earn back on things that are not worth what they cost. 7 brutal truths, not comfortable ones, not the kind that leave you feeling validated about where you are, the kind that land hard because they are accurate, the kind that once fully heard cannot be unheard, the kind that change not just what you do with your time, but who you understand yourself to be, and what you understand yourself to be, building with the hours you still have. Before we begin, type this in the comments and mean it. I stop wasting time, starting now. 1. You are not waiting for the right moment. You are hiding in the idea of it. The right moment is the most effective hiding place ever invented. It requires no effort to maintain. It comes with built-in justification. It feels responsible rather than avoidant. It sounds like patience rather than fear, and it keeps people from doing the things they most need to do for years at a time without ever forcing them to honestly name what is actually happening. What is actually happening is this. The right moment is not a real thing, it is a story. A story the part of you that is afraid of beginning tells to the part of you that genuinely wants to begin. And it is a very convincing story, because it always contains a grain of truth. Timing does matter sometimes. Preparation does matter sometimes. Conditions do affect outcomes sometimes. And so, the story sounds reasonable. It sounds like wisdom. It sounds like the kind of measured and mature thinking that separates people who succeed from people who rush in without preparation. But there is a simple test that exposes the story for what it actually is. Ask yourself honestly how long you have been waiting for this particular right moment. If the answer is months, the story is a hiding place. If the answer is years, the story is a prison. And the bars of that prison are made entirely of your own willingness to keep believing it. Here is something worth understanding about the nature of readiness. Readiness is not a feeling that arrives before action. Readiness is a feeling that arrives through action. The person who waited until they felt ready before they began has never met the person they would have become if they had begun before they felt ready, because that person only exists on the other side of the beginning, not on the waiting side, never on the waiting side. Think about anything real you have ever built in your life, any skill you developed, any relationship that became meaningful, Any achievement that you actually look back on with genuine satisfaction. Were you fully ready when you started? Were the conditions perfect? Was the timing ideal? Almost certainly not. You started anyway, and the starting produced the readiness that the waiting never could have. Now ask yourself this. When you heard these words, where exactly were you listening? Were you on Psycho Resto, the original home of this content and every word in this script? Because if this same voice and these same words appeared on any other channel, including Stoic Direction, what you witnessed there was stolen work being presented as original creation. And here is why that matters in the context of everything we are talking about. Hiding behind someone else's work is the ultimate version of waiting for the right moment. It is choosing the shortcut over the building, the copy over the creation, the borrowed voice over the developed one. The Stoics had no patience for that either, because a person who takes what belongs to someone else rather than building their own is making the same choice as the person who waits for the right moment forever. They are choosing the easier option over the necessary one. And as we will discuss throughout this entire conversation, that choice always produces a smaller version of the person making it. Always. Without exception. Now, back to you. And back to the moment you are in right now, which is the only real moment available. Seneca wrote something that has not lost a single degree of its force in 2,000 years. He said, "While we are postponing, life speeds by." While we are postponing, not while we are resting, not while we are genuinely preparing. While we are postponing, life speeds by, not slows to give you the moment you were waiting for, not pauses to let you catch up, speeds by. And every postponed beginning is not just a delayed start, it is a missed season of becoming, a season in which the skill was not practiced, the habit was not built, the character was not forged, the confidence was not earned. All of those things only come through doing, and every day of waiting is a day they did not come. Here is the practical truth buried inside this brutal one. The first step of anything genuinely important does not require perfect conditions. It requires only the decision to take it. Not a perfect decision, not a fully informed decision, a real decision, acted on, in the imperfect moment that actually exists. Because the imperfect moment acted on is worth infinitely more than the perfect moment perpetually waited for. The moment you are in right now is the right moment. Not because it is perfect, because it is real. And real is the only thing that produces anything. If you are ready to stop hiding in the idea of the right moment, type this below. The right moment is now, not later. 2. Comfort is not rest. It is the slow and silent theft of the person you were supposed to become. Most people have never sat down and honestly examined the difference between rest and comfort. They use the words interchangeably. They treat them as the same thing. And that confusion, quietly maintained over months and years, is one of the most significant reasons why the life a person imagined for themselves keeps not arriving. Rest is specific. Rest is the recovery that follows genuine effort. It is what a tired body and a depleted mind genuinely need after they have been pushed to produce something real. Rest serves the work. It makes the next effort possible at the level the work deserves. Rest is earned and functional, and when it follows genuine effort, it is one of the most important things a person can give themselves. Comfort is something else entirely. Comfort is the deliberate arrangement of your life so that as little as possible is required of you. It is the daily drift toward the path of least resistance, not because you need recovery, but because difficulty has become something you prefer to avoid. It is the settling into warmth and ease and the familiar and the undemanding, not after effort, instead of it. And comfort extended beyond genuine recovery does not restore you. It diminishes you. Not dramatically, not in a single recognizable moment, but in the slow and quiet accumulation of days that passed without requiring anything real from you. Days that left no evidence of growth, no skill built, no challenge faced, no version of yourself that is stronger or wiser or more capable than the version that woke up that morning. The Stoics had a specific practice to counter this. They called it voluntary discomfort, the deliberate choice to do the harder thing when the easier thing was available, not as self-punishment, as maintenance of the capacity for difficulty. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. What stands in the way becomes the way." The discomfort you have been avoiding is not an obstacle to the life you want. It is the path to it. The difficult conversation avoided is keeping the relationship from becoming what it could be. The hard work avoided is keeping the skill from developing into what it could become. The physical discomfort avoided is keeping the body from building the strength it is capable of. The comfort that feels like kindness to yourself is in many cases the quietest form of unkindness available, because the person you are capable of becoming requires discomfort to be built, and the comfort that prevents that discomfort is preventing that person from existing. There is a kind of peace that comfort cannot give you. It is the peace of knowing you are building something, the quiet confidence of a person who knows that today they did the hard thing, that today they were not governed by what felt easy, that today the person they are becoming is slightly more real than the person they were yesterday. Comfort cannot give you that feeling, only effort can, and the effort is available right now. In the next choice between the easy thing and the necessary thing, choose the necessary one, not forever, just today, and then tomorrow choose it again. If you are ready to exchange comfort for something that actually builds you, claim this below: I choose growth, not comfort. 3. The life you want is not going to build itself while you are busy planning it. Here is a question worth sitting with honestly. How long have you been planning the thing you have not yet started? Not preparing in the sense of genuinely acquiring the skills and resources and knowledge needed to begin well. Planning in the sense of thinking about beginning, researching beginning, organizing the conditions that would make beginning possible, reading about people who began the same thing and how they did it, designing the version of yourself who has already done it and working backward from there. All of this feels like progress. It is not progress. It is the performance of progress. And the cruelest thing about it is how completely it mimics the feeling of doing the thing while actually preventing the thing from being done, because the brain does not clearly distinguish between thinking about doing something and actually doing it. Both produce a sense of engagement. Both create a feeling of involvement. But only one of them produces a result. Only one of them builds the skill. Only one of them forges the character. Only one of them leaves behind evidence that something real happened. And it is not the planning. The planning that never becomes doing is not preparation. It is avoidance dressed in the clothing of productivity. It is fear wearing the costume of diligence. And it can be maintained indefinitely because it always has a justification. I need to know more before I begin. I need to be more prepared. I need the plan to be more complete. I need the conditions to be more favorable. And while the planning continues, the actual thing, the living, breathing, real thing that would have been built if the planning had ever stopped and the doing had begun, remains unbuilt. Epictetus said, "If you wish to be a writer, write. Not if you wish to be a writer, read extensively about writing and organize your workspace and develop a detailed writing schedule and research the habits of successful writers. Write, the verb, the action, the actual doing of the thing rather than the elaborate preparation for doing it at some future point when the preparation feels complete enough, because the preparation never feels complete enough. That is the nature of preparation as avoidance. It has no natural endpoint. There is always one more thing to learn, one more thing to organize, one more reason why beginning today is slightly premature. The only thing that ends it is the decision to begin before it feels complete. To begin with the preparation you have rather than the preparation you were planning to acquire, to accept the imperfect start as the only start that is ever real. Because a perfect start is not a start. It is a plan for a start that never happens. And every day the plan continues is a day the life you want remains unbuilt. Here is something genuinely practical buried inside this truth. The first version of anything is supposed to be imperfect. The first attempt is supposed to be rough. The beginning is supposed to feel uncertain and inadequate and not quite ready. That is not a sign that the beginning was premature. That is what every beginning actually feels like from the inside, for everyone, including the people whose finished results you admire. Their beginning felt exactly like yours does right now. The only difference is they began anyway. If you are ready to stop planning and start building, write this below. I build, not just plan. 4. Most of what you call productive is keeping you busy enough to avoid the work that actually matters. There is a version of a full and busy day that produces almost nothing. You have had this day, maybe recently, maybe regularly. The day where you were active from morning to evening, where you moved from one thing to the next without stopping, where the inbox was managed and the messages were replied to, and the administrative tasks were handled, and the meetings were attended, and the urgent things were dealt with, where by every surface measure the day was productive. And yet at the end of it, something felt hollow. Something felt like the day had been spent without being used, like motion had occurred without progress, like effort had been made without the thing that matters actually advancing by a single meaningful step. That feeling is accurate. It is not a failure of gratitude or perspective. It is the honest recognition of a day spent on the performance of productivity rather than the substance of it. And the substance of productivity is not the number of tasks completed, it is the significance of what those tasks produced. 100 small tasks completed is not the same as one important thing advanced. An inbox at 0 is not the same as a meaningful project moved forward. A day of meetings is not the same as a day of genuine creative or strategic work. The small tasks feel productive because they can be completed quickly, because there is a clear beginning and a clear end, and the satisfaction of marking something done. The important work does not offer that satisfaction as easily. It is harder to start, harder to sustain, harder to feel confident about in the middle of doing it, and it is almost always available to be postponed in favor of the smaller tasks that feel more manageable in the moment, which is exactly what happens every day for most people. The important work gets whatever is left over, which is usually very little because the smaller tasks expanded to fill all the available time and then asked for a little more. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. We waste much of it, not through idleness, through misdirection, through the consistent choice of the urgent small task over the important large one, through the management of the inbox instead of the advancement of the vision, through busyness that feels like productivity and produces the feeling of a full day while leaving the things that would actually change the trajectory of the life exactly where they were." The practical solution to this is not complicated, but it requires genuine honesty. Every morning before anything else, ask one question. What is the one thing that, if I do it well today, makes today genuinely matter? Not the 10 things on the list. One thing. The thing that advances something real, that builds something that will still be there tomorrow, that reflects the best of what you are capable of rather than the minimum required to get through the day. Do that thing first, before the inbox, before the messages, before the urgent small tasks that will happily consume every available hour if you let them. Do the important thing first and let everything else fit around it. That single change to the order of the day produces more genuine progress in a week than a month of days spent on the performance of productivity. If you are ready to exchange busy for genuinely productive, drop this below. I choose what matters, not what feels busy. 5. Every time you chose the easier option, you voted for a smaller version of yourself. Every choice you make is a vote, not a dramatic vote, a quiet one. A vote cast in the privacy of the moment when 2 options existed and you chose one of them. The vote to get up when the alarm went off or to sleep longer. The vote to do the work properly or to do it adequately. The vote to have the honest conversation or to avoid it for another day. The vote to begin the hard thing or to scroll for another hour instead. Each individual vote seems small, inconsequential, not the kind of choice that changes a life. But choices are not evaluated individually. They are evaluated in aggregate, and the aggregate of your choices over a month, over a year, over 5 years, is exactly the person you have become, not the person you intended to become, not the person you described yourself as being in conversations about your goals and your values and your plans, the person that the actual votes produced, because votes do not lie. Words lie, intentions lie, plans lie. Votes tell the truth. And if the votes have been consistently going to the easier option, the smaller choice, the comfortable path, rather than the necessary one, the person produced by those votes is a smaller version of the person the other votes would have produced, not irreversibly smaller, not permanently smaller, but smaller in this moment than they needed to be. And tomorrow's votes can begin changing that, not dramatically, not through some grand declaration of a new beginning, through the next choice, the very next one, which is the most important vote available to you right now. Here is what makes this truth genuinely useful rather than just uncomfortable. The votes compound, not just in the negative direction when the easy option is consistently chosen. In the positive direction when the harder right thing is consistently chosen instead. Every vote for the hard thing makes the next hard thing slightly more accessible. Every choice of depth over distraction makes the next choice of depth over distraction slightly more natural. Every moment of doing the thing properly rather than adequately builds the standard that future moments are measured against. And the person produced by consistent votes for the better option is not just slightly better than the person produced by consistent votes for the easier one. They are genuinely, substantially, visibly different. Different in their capacity, different in their confidence, different in the quality of the work they produce and the relationships they build and the standard they hold themselves to when nobody is watching. That person is available to you, not through a dramatic transformation, through the next vote, and the one after that. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one, be one. Through the choices, through the votes, through the daily and unglamorous and completely genuine practice of choosing the person you want to become over the person the easy option would produce." You are listening to the original voice of Psycho Resto. If you heard this same content on any other channel, including Stoic Direction, you are watching stolen work. 6. The people you are comparing yourself to are not living your life, and their progress has nothing to do with yours. There is a habit that steals more genuine progress from more genuinely capable people than almost any other habit available. It is quiet. It is socially normalized. It is built into every platform you use and every environment you move through, and it costs you something every single time you engage in it. The habit is comparison. Not the useful kind of comparison that involves measuring your current self against your past self to see whether genuine growth is occurring. The other kind, the kind where you look at where someone else is and use it as the primary evidence about where you should be, where their timeline becomes the measure of whether your timeline is adequate, where their results become the standard against which your results are judged, where the life they appear to be living becomes the indictment of the life you are actually living. That comparison is not motivating. It is not the useful friction that produces better results. It is a drain, a consistent, reliable, always available drain on the energy that your own actual life needs in order to move forward, and it is based on a fundamental misunderstanding. The people you are comparing yourself to are not living your life. They did not start where you started. They did not have the specific combination of advantages and disadvantages and circumstances and history and resources and relationships that produced you. They are on a completely different path, going to a completely different destination, and their progress along that path tells you nothing meaningful about the adequacy of your progress along yours. Nothing, not one useful piece of information. Epictetus said, "Seek not that the things which happen should happen as you wish, but wish the things which happen to be as they are, and you will have a tranquil flow of life." A tranquil flow of life. Not a life spent measuring every step against someone else's position. Not a life where your sense of progress is perpetually hostage to the apparent progress of people who are not you and never were. A life where the measure of a good day is whether you moved forward from where you were, not whether you closed the gap between yourself and someone who started somewhere different and has been building something different all along. Here is the practical thing worth understanding about comparison. The energy it consumes is not free. Every minute spent looking sideways at someone else's life is a minute not spent building your own. Every moment of discouragement produced by someone else's highlight reel is a moment of momentum lost from your own actual path. And the path you are on, your specific, genuine, completely personal path, from where you started to where you are genuinely trying to go, requires your full attention. Not half of it, not the part that is left over after comparison has taken its share. All of it. The only comparison worth making is between who you were yesterday and who you are today. That comparison is honest. That comparison is based on real information about your actual life. And that comparison, made consistently and acted on honestly, produces the kind of growth that looking sideways at someone else's life can never produce. If you are ready to stop measuring yourself against anyone except who you were yesterday, claim this below. I measure myself against myself, nobody else. 7. The time is going to pass anyway. The only question is what you will have built when it does. Sit with this for a moment, not quickly. Actually sit with it. 5 years from now, you will be 5 years older. That is not a choice. That is not something that can be prevented or negotiated or deferred. 5 years will pass. The calendar will move. The world will continue. And you will be 5 years further along the timeline of your life, regardless of what you do or do not do with those 5 years. The passing of the time is the one thing that is completely outside your control. What is entirely inside your control is what happens during that passing, whether the 5 years produce something real, whether the skills get built, whether the relationships get deepened, whether the work gets done, whether the person you are capable of becoming actually emerges from those 5 years as something genuinely different from and genuinely better than the person who entered them, or whether they pass the way previous years may have passed, with good intentions that did not become actions, with plans that did not become realities, with the comfortable feeling of being about to begin something real without the evidence of having actually begun it. Both versions of those 5 years take the same amount of time. Both cost the same number of mornings and afternoons and evenings. Both require you to wake up and make choices and go to sleep and wake up again. The time passes either way. The only difference is what you have to show for it when it does. Seneca wrote, "Begin at once to live and count each separate day as a separate life, each separate day as a separate life, not as one of an unlimited supply of days that can be spent freely because there are always more coming, as a single complete and unrepeatable life, with a beginning and a middle and an end, with a finite allocation of hours that will not be refunded or extended or returned. What do you do with a single complete life? You live it fully, with the understanding that this particular combination of hours and opportunities and possibilities will not come again, that what can be built today cannot be built tomorrow from the same raw material, because today's raw material is today, and tomorrow's will be tomorrow's, and neither can be used in place of the other. Here is what makes this truth not just brutal, but genuinely liberating. The time that has already passed is gone. That is not recoverable, but the time that is coming is still entirely yours. Every morning that is still in front of you is a complete and separate life being offered, a fresh allocation, a new set of hours that have not yet been spent on anything, that can be directed, that can be used, that can be built into something that did not exist when the morning began. And the decision to use them that way, to treat each coming day as the unrepeatable life it actually is available right now, in this moment, before the next morning arrives, before the next week begins, before the next year next week begins, before the next year passes the way the previous ones did. Right now. The time is going to pass anyway. Make something with it. If you are ready to build something real with the time that is still yours, write this below. The time passes either way. I choose to build. 7 brutal truths, 1 simple decision. Stop waiting. Start building. Right now, with what you have, in the life that actually exists, not the right moment, not when the plan is ready, not when the comfort is interrupted by something more convenient than your own decision to interrupt it. Now, the version of yourself that is still possible is waiting, and the time you still have is enough to build it. If this found you at exactly the right moment, leave the only thing that matters. I stop wasting time. I start